The Galactic Assembly Hall stretched before me like a monument to bureaucratic excess. 300 species crammed into one space, all pretending their opinions mattered. I'm Vex Lar, by the way, second-tier diplomat from the Corthian hegemony. 23 cycles doing this job, and I still couldn't believe we paid good credits for this nonsense. Order! I demand order! High Chancellor Throme's voice boomed through 17 translation matrices. The Quilnari always did enjoy the sound of their own vocal sacs. Today's entertainment? Humanity's petition for military classification upgrade. Again, the human delegation sat in the guest quadrant, looking appropriately nervous. 3 of them. The lead diplomat, a woman named Victoria Marsh, stood with her shoulders back and chin up. Brave, considering half the assembly wanted to use Earth as a dumping ground for toxic waste. The Terran Confederacy requests reclassification from Category 7 to Category 4 defensive status, Victoria announced. Her voice carried well. I'd give her that. We believe our recent technological advances warrant consideration. The chamber erupted, not with applause, with laughter. Gornix of the Vraxian Empire literally slapped his knee equivalent. Category 4? Category 4? My hatchlings have more firepower. More laughter. Even I cracked a smile. Humans were adorable in their ambition. Throme raised one of his 4 arms. Please, please, let us maintain decorum. He was still chuckling, though. Representative Marsh, your species barely achieved faster than light travel 6 of your years ago. Most civilizations here have weapons older than your written history. With respect, High Chancellor, age doesn't equal effectiveness. Oh, this should be good, muttered Silray, the Morganti observer next to me. She leaned forward, mandibles clicking with amusement. The Terran military currently fields 300,000 active combat personnel, Victoria continued, pulling up holographic displays. Numbers floated in the air between us. Our fleet consists of 47 capital ships, 213 support vessels, and 12 orbital defense platforms. Silence. Then someone in the back started clapping. Slow, mocking claps that spread through the assembly like a virus. 47 ships, Gornix wheezed. I have more than that in my personal yacht collection. Throme tried to look sympathetic. He failed. Representative Marsh, the Corthian hegemony alone, maintains a standing military of 600 million, our fleet numbers in the hundreds of thousands. Your 47 ships are, well, adorable, Silray finished. Victoria's face reddened. The other 2 humans, Marcus Trent and Jennifer Hayes, looked like they wanted to disappear through the floor. Perhaps, Throme continued, Earth should focus on developing its economic sector? You produce excellent agricultural products. That fruit? What was it called? Ah, yes, strawberries. Delightful. We're not asking to be feared, Victoria said quietly. We're asking to be taken seriously. Wrong thing to say. The assembly lost it. Delegates were literally rolling in their seats. Gornix actually fell out of his hover platform. I almost felt bad for them. Almost. Motion to upgrade Earth's military classification, Throme announced when the laughter died down. All in favor? 0 votes. All opposed? 299 votes? I abstained. Not because I supported Earth. I just didn't care enough to vote. Motion fails spectacularly, Throme declared. Representative Marsh, Earth remains Category 7. However, we will consider bumping you to Category 6 in, let's say 50 cycles? If you're very good. More laughter. Victoria's hands clenched into fists. High Chancellor, with all due respect, you're making a mistake. Am I? Throme's vocal sacs inflated with amusement. Tell me, what exactly makes humanity worthy of respect? What makes you dangerous? The chamber went quiet. Every species wanted to hear this. What could these newcomers possibly say? Victoria looked back at Marcus and Jennifer. They nodded. Some kind of signal passed between them. "Fine," Victoria said. "You want to know what makes us dangerous? I'll show you." She tapped her wrist communicator. "Captain Zhang, activate Protocol Badger. Release authorization. Marsh 77 Alpha." The chamber waited. Seconds ticked by. Nothing happened. Gornix yawned. "Is something supposed to?" Every screen in the assembly hall flashed red. Emergency alerts screamed from 24 different systems simultaneously. Throme's communication array lit up like a festival display. "What is this?" Throme demanded. "High Chancellor?" One of his aides rushed forward. "Sir, we're receiving distress calls from the perimeter defense grid." "Impossible. The grid is impenetrable. 300 years without a breach." "Sir, something's cutting through Section 7. The main display switched to external feed. The perimeter defense grid surrounded the assembly station like a protective shell. Thousands of automated weapons platforms, shield generators, and sensor arrays. The pride of galactic security. One of the platforms exploded, then another. Then 6 more. "What is that?" someone shouted. On screen, something moved through the defensive perimeter like a hot blade through frozen atmosphere. Small, fast, and absolutely relentless. It didn't dodge the weapon's fire. It tanked the hits and kept coming, destroying everything in its path. "Magnify!" Throme ordered. The image zoomed in. My blood ran cold. It was a ship. A human ship. But not like anything in their fleet database. This thing looked angry. Angular armor plating covered every surface. No smooth curves. No elegant design. Just brutal. Efficient. Engineering that screamed violence. And painted on the hull, large enough to read from 300 kilometers away, was an image of a black and white creature with raised claws and bared teeth. "What is that animal?" Silray whispered. Victoria smiled. Actually smiled. "That's a honey badger. They're from Earth. Small creatures, relatively speaking. Weigh about 14 kilograms. 14 kilograms? Gornix laughed. "You named a warship after something that weighs 14 kilograms? "We did," Marcus said. His voice was calm. Too calm. "You know what's interesting about honey badgers, Chancellor? They don't care. Snake venom? Don't care. Bee stings? Don't care. Lions, leopards, hyenas? Really don't care. They're biologically incapable of giving up." Another defense platform exploded. "Call it off!" Throme demanded. "This is an act of war." "This?" Victoria raised an eyebrow. "This is a demonstration. You wanted to know what makes humanity dangerous? We're showing you." The honey badger ship reached the inner perimeter. Point defense cannons opened fire. Enough firepower to vaporize a cruiser. The ship's shields flared, holding. Then something launched from its hull. Tiny objects, barely visible on sensors. "What are those?" I asked. "Drones," Jennifer said. "We call them weasels. Each one carries a microfusion charge and adaptive AI. They're programmed to disable, disrupt, and destroy." The weasels scattered, moving in patterns that made no tactical sense until suddenly they did. They weren't attacking randomly. They were coordinating, finding weak points in overlapping fields of fire, exploiting microsecond gaps in shield rotation. Defense platforms started dropping offline, not destroyed, disabled, surgically neutralized by something smaller than my thumb. "This is madness." Throme's vocal sacs quivered. "Your ship will be destroyed. One vessel cannot." The honey badger ship fired its main weapon. I'd seen particle beams before. This wasn't that. This was condensed kinetic energy, wrapped in an electromagnetic field. It hit a shield generator the size of a building and punched clean through. The station shook. "Shields at 70%! Someone yelled. "Impossible!" Silray breathed. Those generators have withstood attacks from entire fleets. Human engineering, Marcus said proudly. We don't build pretty ships. We build effective ones. Throme activated the emergency channel. All defensive forces converge on hostile vessel. Authorization Omega. 50 military ships broke from standby positions around the station. Frigates, destroyers, and 3 heavy cruisers. The Galactic Assembly's personal guard. The best of the best. They moved to intercept. The Honey Badger ship didn't run. It accelerated straight toward them. They're committing suicide, Gornix shouted. Are they? Victoria asked. The military ships opened fire. The Honey Badger ship disappeared in a storm of energy weapons and missile strikes. For 3 seconds, nothing was visible except explosions. Then it emerged from the fireball, shields at 40%, but still fighting. And it was angry. What happened next entered military academy textbooks across the galaxy within a month. The Honey Badger ship moved like nothing that size should move. It twisted, spun, and spiraled through attack patterns that violated at least 6 laws of physics. Its weapons fired with surgical precision, taking out engines, weapon arrays, and shield generators without destroying a single ship. In 4 minutes, it disabled 17 vessels. Enough! Throme bellowed. Representative Marsh, cease this demonstration immediately. Victoria checked her fingernails casually. Why? You said we weren't dangerous. I'm just proving you wrong. The station shields are at 50%. You're endangering 300 species. Am I? Funny. I haven't targeted the station once. Every shot has been defensive. Unlike your forces, which tried to destroy my ship. She had a point. The recordings would show that. Throme's face cycled through 7 colors. What do you want? I want, Victoria said slowly, a revote on Earth's military classification, and I want it now. The assembly sat in stunned silence. The Honey Badger ship held position 3 kilometers from the station, rotating slowly, menacingly. On every screen, that painted image of the small Earth creature stared at us with dead eyes. This is blackmail, someone shouted. This is negotiation, Marcus corrected. You laugh at our numbers? Fine. But numbers aren't everything. You mock our 47 ships? That's 47 chances to ruin your day. And this? He gestured at the screen. This is just one of them. Silray leaned close to me. Vexlar? What are they? I don't know, I admitted. I really don't know. Throme stared at Victoria for a long moment. Political calculations ran behind his eyes. Pride versus pragmatism. Tradition versus survival. Finally, he spoke. Throme, pride. Emergency vote. Reclassification of Terran Confederacy, military status. From Category 7, 2, Enclode, to Category 4. Category 3, Victoria countered. You're pushing your luck, am I? Because from where I'm standing, you have 33 disabled defense platforms, 17 crippled military vessels, and shields that won't last another sustained hit. She smiled sweetly. Category 3, or we see how deep the Honey Badger can dig. I watched Throme's resolve crumble in real time. It was beautiful and terrifying. Category 3, he said finally. All in favor? Every single delegate raised their appendage. Even Gornix, though he looked like he'd swallowed something toxic. Motion carries, Throme announced. Earth is hereby classified as Category 3 military power. Victoria tapped her communicator. Captain Zhang, stand down. Return to patrol coordinates. The Honey Badger ship fired its thrusters and slipped away, back through the hole it had carved in our defenses. Within seconds, it vanished into hyperspace. The assembly sat in shell-shocked silence. Victoria gathered her data pads. Thank you for your time, High Chancellor. Earth looks forward to more productive future relations. She walked out. Marcus and Jennifer followed. Their footsteps echoed in the absolute quiet. When the doors closed behind them, Gornix finally spoke. "What just happened?" "Humanity happened," I said. "We laughed at their weakness. They showed us their strength." "One ship," Silray muttered. "One ship did this." Throme slumped in his seat. "Get me intelligence reports on human military capabilities. Real reports, not the sanitized versions." Over the next hour, information flooded in, and every file made things worse. The Honey Badger ship? Prototype. They had 12 more in production. Those Weasel drones? Earth had manufactured 6 million of them. Their 47 capital ships? All equipped with weapons systems we'd never seen before. Railguns, coil guns, something called a gigawatt pulse laser. Technologies we'd dismissed as primitive, refined to devastating effect. "How did we miss this?" Gornix asked. "They hid in plain sight," I said. "We looked at their fleet size and laughed. We never bothered checking what those ships could actually do." A junior aide approached Throme nervously. "Sir, we're receiving a message from Earth. Text only. Read it." The aide swallowed. "It says, 'Thank you for the vote. You made the right choice. Honey Badger doesn't care, but we're reasonable. This time, signed, Captain Elizabeth Zhang, Terran Confederacy Defense Force." Throme dropped his head into his hands. I left the assembly hall in a daze. Everything I knew about galactic power dynamics had shifted. Humanity wasn't weak. They were patient. They'd spent 6 years building, planning, and preparing while we laughed. And they'd only shown us one ship. Back at the Corthian embassy, I poured myself a drink. My assistant, Skrall, found me staring at news feeds. "You saw it happen," he said. "I did." I thought about Victoria's calm smile, Marcus's proud voice, the image of that small Earth creature that somehow embodied everything terrifying about humanity. "Dangerous," I said finally. "Not because they're strong, because they're stubborn. They don't quit. They don't back down. And they really, really don't care what we think." On every newsfeed, analysts dissected the encounter. Military experts re-evaluated threat assessments. Politicians scrambled to establish diplomatic relations with Earth. The Terran Confederacy had arrived, not as farmers or entertainers or cute primitives, as wolves in sheep's clothing, and we'd forced them to show their teeth. I raised my glass to the sky, toward that distant yellow star where humanity slept. "Well played," I whispered. "Well played indeed." Somewhere in the dark between stars, the Honey Badger ship flew on, ready to remind anyone who needed it. Humanity might be small, might be young, might be inexperienced, but they absolutely, positively did not care about your opinion, and that made all the difference. 2 months passed since the assembly hall incident. 2 months of watching the galaxy scramble like startled prey animals. It would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic. I stood in my office, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. Earth had gone quiet, too quiet. No public statements, no diplomatic tours, just silence and the occasional sensor ghost that might have been their ships moving through border space. "Vexlar, you have a visitor," Skrall announced through the comm. "Tell them I'm busy." "It's a human." I nearly dropped my datapad. "Send them in." The door opened. A man entered, tall and lean, with gray streaks in his dark hair. He wore civilian clothes, nothing military about his appearance. But his eyes told a different story. This man had seen combat. "Ambassador Vexlar, I'm Thomas Grant, Special Envoy from the Terran Confederacy." "Mr. Grant." I gestured to a chair. "This is unexpected." "I imagine so." He sat, perfectly comfortable in alien furniture. "I'm here because your government made a formal request for information about human defensive capabilities." "And Earth is actually responding?" "Forgive my surprise, But your species hasn't been particularly talkative lately. Thomas smiled. We've been busy. Building things, testing things, making sure the honey badger has siblings. There it was, the casual threat wrapped in friendly conversation. Humans were good at that. Your demonstration at the assembly caused quite a stir, I said carefully. Good. It was supposed to. Thomas pulled out a small device. Mind if I show you something? Go ahead. He activated a holographic projector. Images filled the space between us. Ships, dozens of them, all displaying variations of Earth's aggressive design philosophy. This is the Wolverine class, Thomas explained, pointing at a vessel that looked meaner than the honey badger. Heavier armor, more firepower, specialized in breaking through fortified positions. He swiped to the next image. The Orca class. Submarine warfare principles applied to space combat. Silent running capabilities. Torpedo systems that use micro-wormholes for delivery. Another swipe. The Mantis class. Close quarters specialist. Magnetic grappling systems, boarding pods, designed to capture enemy vessels intact. I felt my blood chill with each new ship. How many of these do you have? Enough. Thomas closed the display. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because the Corthian hegemony has a problem, and we think we can help. What problem? The Skrall. I froze. The Skrall were a Category 2 military power. Raiders, slavers, and general nightmares from the Outer Rim. They'd been hitting Corthian shipping lanes for 3 cycles, and we couldn't stop them. How do you know about that? I demanded. We pay attention. Unlike some species, we actually read intelligence reports instead of filing them away. Thomas leaned forward. The Skrall have been hitting your cargo convoys in the Helix sector. 17 attacks in the last cycle alone. You've lost ships, crew, and credibility. This is an internal matter. It was, until they hit one of our merchant vessels last week. Silence filled the room. The Skrall had attacked a human ship? Were they insane? What happened? I asked. They disabled the merchant ship, boarded it, killed 3 crew members, and stole the cargo. Thomas's voice went flat. Then they made a mistake. They bragged about it on open channels. Said humanity was just another soft target. Oh no. Oh yes. Thomas smiled, but there was no warmth in it. So, Earth has decided to handle the Skrall problem, permanently, and we're offering the Corthian hegemony a chance to watch. Why would you do that? 2 reasons. First, we want allies, not enemies. Helping you solves a mutual problem. Second, we want witnesses. What's the point of being terrifying if nobody sees it? I should have said no, should have consulted my superiors, should have followed proper diplomatic protocol. Instead, I heard myself say, when? 3 days. Helix sector. Coordinates I'll provide. Bring observers, military analysts, whoever you want. Just stay out of the way. Thomas stood and headed for the door. He paused at the threshold. One more thing, Ambassador. The Assembly thinks we showed them everything with the honey badger demonstration. We didn't. We showed them one ship, doing one job. What you're about to see? That's humanity working together. That's what happens when we actually try. He left. I sat in my office for 20 minutes, trying to process the conversation. Finally, I contacted Skrall. Get me high command. Tell them we need a full observation. Fleet ready to move in 48 hours. Sir? What's happening? Either the greatest military operation we've ever witnessed, or the fastest defeat in human history. I pulled up the Skrall intelligence files. Honestly, I'm not sure which would be more interesting. 3 days later, I stood on the bridge of the Corthian observation cruiser, Relentless, watching sensors light up the Helix sector. We weren't alone. Word had spread. 6 other species sent observation vessels. Everyone wanted to see what humanity would do. The Skrall base sat in the middle of an asteroid field, hidden and fortified. 300 ships called it home. Raiders, fighters, and 5 massive dreadnoughts that served as the Skrall command structure. Human fleet entering sensor range, our tactical officer announced. The main display updated. I counted 12 ships. Just 12, facing 300. Are they insane? Skrall whispered. Possibly, I said. Or brilliant. We're about to find out which. A communication channel opened. Thomas Grant's face appeared on screen. Observers, this is Terran Battle Group 7. We're about to begin operations against the Skrall base. Stay at your current positions. Things are going to get loud. Battle Group 7? I said. There are more battle groups? Thomas grinned. 14, actually. But who's counting? Grant out. The human ships moved into formation. Not a standard attack pattern. Something else. They spread out in a spiral configuration. Each vessel equidistant from its neighbors. What are they doing? Skrall asked. No idea. The Skrall had noticed them now. Alarms rang across their base. Ships launched in swarms, moving to intercept. The 5 dreadnoughts powered weapons systems, ready to obliterate the tiny human force. Then, humanity did something nobody expected. They stopped moving and just waited. They're sitting still! Our weapons officer shouted. The Skrall are going to destroy them! The Skrall fleet, closed to weapon range. Energy cannons charged. Missile racks opened. 300 ships preparing to fire on 12. The humans opened communications on every frequency. A woman's voice, calm and professional. Attention Skrall forces. I am Admiral Rebecca Stone of the Terran Confederacy Defense Force. You have attacked human shipping and killed human citizens. Surrender now, and you will be taken into custody. Resist, and we will demonstrate why that's a bad idea. You have 60 seconds to comply. The Skrall response was predictable. They opened fire. Energy beams and missiles converged on the human formation. Enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. I actually closed my eyes, not wanting to watch the massacre. Skrall gasped. Sir, look! The human ships didn't explode. Their shields held, blazing with absorbed energy. But more than that, something shimmered in space around them. The spiral pattern they'd formed suddenly made sense. They're projecting a linked shield network, our science officer breathed. Each ship reinforcing the others. I've never seen anything like this. The missile barrage hit. Hundreds of warheads detonating against the combined shields. Still, the humans held. Then they fired back. Not with energy weapons, with kinetic rounds. Railgun, slugs, traveling at 0.7 light speed. Simple physics turned devastating. Mass times velocity equals pain. The first Skrall dreadnought took 3 hits. Its shields collapsed. Armor buckled. Secondary explosions rippled across its hull. Impossible, Skrall muttered. Those ships are designed to withstand sustained fleet bombardment. Human railguns don't care about design specifications, I said. The human fleet shifted formation, still linked, moving as one organism. They targeted the next dreadnought. Same result. 3 hits. Shields down. Ship crippled. The Skrall scattered, breaking attack formation. Classic mistake. The humans separated too, hunting in pairs. I watched one pair, designated Wolf 3 and Wolf 4, pursue a cluster of Skrall raiders. The raiders were faster, should have escaped easily. But the human ships deployed something new, clouds of tiny objects that looked like space debris. What are those? Skrall asked. We got our answer 10 seconds later when a Skrall raider flew through the cloud. Hundreds of micro-explosions rippled across its hull. Not enough to destroy it, but enough to disable engines, weapons, sensors. The ship went dead in space. Smart minds, our tactical officer reported. They're using proximity sensors and minimal explosives to disable without destroying. They're not trying to kill them, I realized. They're capturing them. The battle unfolded like a training exercise. Precise, controlled, devastating. The humans had planned for every contingency. Their ships worked in perfect coordination, herding Skrall vessels into kill zones, disabling engines, capturing crew. The remaining 3 dreadnoughts tried to retreat. Admiral Stone's voice cut through the chaos. Negative on that retreat. Wolfpack, light them up. 6 human ships converged on the fleeing dreadnoughts. They didn't fire railguns this time. They fired something else. Beams of pure white light that burned through shields like they weren't there. What kind of weapon is that? I demanded. Analyzing, our science officer said. Sir, those are gigawatt pulse lasers. They're cycling through frequencies faster than the shields can adapt. 1 dreadnought exploded. The other 2 stopped moving. Shields gone. Hull breached. Life support failing. In 18 minutes, humanity had destroyed or disabled 300 Skrall vessels. 300 ships, reduced to scrap and prisoners. The observation fleet sat in stunned silence. Admiral Stone opened communications again. Skrall Command, this is your final warning. Surrender, or we target your base directly. A raspy voice responded. You win, humans. We surrender. Smart. Choice. Stone's ships moved toward the asteroid base. All Skrall personnel will evacuate and prepare for transport to Galactic Authority custody. Any resistance will be met with immediate force. I watched the Skrall file out of their base like defeated animals. Humanity had crushed them in minutes. Ambassador, Krell said quietly, what have we done? What do you mean? We laughed at them. We mocked their military. We treated them like children playing with toys. He gestured at the display, showing the destroyed Skrall fleet. And they did this to prove us wrong. They did this to protect their interests, I corrected. The proof was just a bonus. Thomas Grant's face appeared on our communication screen. Observers, Battle Group 7 is securing the sector. You're welcome to stay and watch cleanup operations, or you can return to your respective governments. Either way, the Helix sector is now safe for legitimate commerce. Mr. Grant, I said, that was quite a demonstration. That was a training exercise. We were told the Skrall were tough. Thomas shrugged. Turns out they weren't. Disappointing, really. The communication ended. I stood there, processing his words. A training exercise. They'd obliterated a major military force and called it practice. The return trip to Corthian space was quiet. Every observer ship transmitted reports to their governments. The galaxy was getting a very different picture of humanity now. Back in my office a week later, I received another visitor. High Chancellor Throme himself, looking considerably less pompous than during our last meeting. Ambassador Vexlar, I need your honest assessment of humanity. Honestly, High Chancellor? They terrify me. Throme nodded slowly. The Assembly is reconsidering Earth's classification again. Category 2 this time. That seems wise. Some members want to propose a mutual defense pact. Others want to increase trade relations. Everyone wants to be on humanity's good side now. Throme sat heavily. I never thought I'd see the day when a 6-year-old spacefaring species dictated galactic policy. They're not dictating, I said. They're just making it clear that dismissing them is dangerous. What do they want, Vexlar? Really want? I thought about Victoria Marsh's determined face, Thomas Grant's calm threats, Admiral Stone's clinical destruction of the Skrall. Respect, I said finally. They want to be treated as equals, not pets. And they're willing to break things until we learn that lesson. Throme left without another word. I returned to my reports, but my mind wandered. Humanity had changed everything in just 2 months. They'd gone from galactic joke to major power through sheer stubbornness and violence, and they'd only shown us a fraction of their capabilities. A message arrived from Earth. Direct communication. To me personally. I opened it with shaking hands. Ambassador Vexlar, this is Victoria Marsh. I wanted to thank you personally for abstaining from that vote 2 months ago. It didn't change the outcome, but it showed you were thinking when others just laughed. Earth remembers friends and enemies. We hope you'll be the former. Regards, Victoria. I sat back in my chair, staring at the message. She'd noticed my abstention, remembered it. Humanity paid attention to details others missed. Skrall entered with more reports. Sir, intelligence just received word. The Terran Confederacy is opening 3 new shipyards. They're projecting fleet expansion by 200% over the next cycle. 200%. I did the math. That would give them over 100 capital ships. Yes, sir. And they're hiring mercenaries to train their crews in combat tactics. The best the galaxy has to offer. The honey badger was growing claws. Lots of them. Over the following months, I watched Earth's transformation with a mix of awe and dread. They negotiated trade agreements from positions of strength. Their merchant ships traveled under military escort. Nobody raided human convoys anymore. The Galactic Assembly formally upgraded Earth to Category 2 status. Nobody voted against it. Several species opened embassies on Earth, the Corthian hegemony included. I was appointed ambassador to Earth, my first assignment on the human homeworld. Standing in the embassy on a city they called New Geneva, I looked up at their yellow sun and thought about that day in the assembly hall. We'd laughed at their weakness. They'd responded with overwhelming force. Thomas Grant visited me on my 3rd day on Earth. We met in a cafe, drinking something humans called coffee. It was bitter but addictive. How are you settling in, Ambassador? Well enough. Your planet is beautiful. Thank you. We're fond of it. Thomas took a sip of coffee. The image of a honey badger, rendered in silver and black enamel. What's this for? You abstained from that vote. You didn't laugh. Victoria wanted you to know that meant something. Thomas stood to leave. Humanity doesn't forget kindness, Ambassador. Just like we don't forget insults. You chose kindness, even when it didn't matter. That matters to us. He left me alone with the pin and my thoughts. That night, I sent a report to High Command. Not about military capabilities or trade negotiations. About something more important. Humanity is not like us, I wrote. They do not think in terms of cycles or protocols or traditional power structures. They think in terms of action and reaction. Push them, and they push back harder. Respect them, and they become allies. Dismiss them, and they make you regret it. We laughed at Earth's weakness. We were fools. Their weakness was patience, and they used it to prepare. Now they are strong, and getting stronger. My recommendation is simple. Treat humanity as equals. Not because protocol demands it. Because survival does. I attached the report to official channels and poured another glass of that bitter coffee. Outside my window, human ships moved across the night sky. Patrol vessels keeping their world safe. Those 47 ships had become 130. Soon they would number in the thousands. The honey badger had woken up. The galaxy would never be the same. And honestly, I was glad I'd abstained from that vote. Being on humanity's good side seemed like a very intelligent place to be. Somewhere in orbit, a ship named Honey Badger flew its patrol route, watching over Earth like a guardian spirit. Its painted mascot seemed to grin in the starlight, reminding anyone who cared to look. Humanity doesn't care about your opinions, your rules, or your expectations. They only care about results. And they get them. Every single time.